It's a brand new day, and we'll be making history. Are you with me? Won't you stay? We have come so far. This is who we are. And like the rising sun, we have just begun to play our part. This is the time we form the chorus. Lift your voice for those before us. We can rely on one another. Feel the pride, let's show our colors. We are heroes and dreamers. We are restless believers.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. This is Gail of Gaia, and this is Free Range, where we graze on wild ideas, and we have wonderful guests. And I have a wonderful guest for you today. His name is Seth, and let me read a little bit to you about his background, and I'm going to let him pronounce his last name because I don't want to say it wrong. So anyway, let me tell you a little bit about him, his bio. But since birth and throughout the course of his life, Seth has consistently come to the realization that human perception is a secondary expression of our primary divine origins. Seth has learned to masterfully articulate a set of experiential philosophies that enable individuals to move beyond limitations of collective human consciousness and know themselves as a primary emanation of divine origin. Seth is self-published author of the book, The Fight to Enlight. Initiation through the heart is the only way to win. He's also a free meditation instructor, a performing musician, and co-founder of TourmalineSpring.com and editor of the blog, I Am Awake Now What? That's a funny title. And it's a website devoted to globally awakening people to the power residing in their own consciousness. And that's why I am having Seth on, because that's where we are as a people, and that's where we need to practice and to get good at it and realize that we are divine beings. So let me bring on Seth. Welcome, Seth.
Right. Thank you, Gail.
I'm honored to have you on, and that's a wonderful book you put together. I haven't gotten all the way through it, but I just skimmed some of it, and you've had some rather profound experiences from what I saw.
Well, I try to bring out the best in everyone because we all have that, but we're taught to not pay attention to it in this world. But now things are changing. It's time to pay attention. And attention pays us in ways unimagined. Anyway, keep going. I don't want to.
Yeah. Well, I just want to. We have some people in the chat already, and so I want to let the listening audience know we will be taking questions after we get along a little further. And I would like. Why don't you give us kind of a summary of your book? Kind of. I mean, it's that might be hard to do, but
no. It's. I mean. We could go on forever, right? Because that's
right,
what it's about. But I'll try to condense it.
Okay.
So the book, I got a 5-year sentence in prison, and I spent 3 full years in there. And when I got there, oh my God, I was just like at an all-time low, And I just wanted to write out, for whatever reason, I had this intuitive, instinctual hunch of like, I need to write out everything that I can remember about my past so I can look for patterns of, I was selling weed and I got in jail. Yeah, I did that. But when you get in there and you see like what it's really about, all the politics, all of these different rules, and you get in there and you see that slavery never went away.
It sure didn't. I'm really happy you're bringing this out because I have a son who was recently in the same boat, slightly different circumstances, but I can tell he's at an all-time low too. And I don't think the system, the way it's set up, does anything that really helps people.
It's the opposite. Actually, it encourages recidivism. They want to get people back in there because it's a business, you know.
Exactly.
Slavery's a business. It's
That's
crazy.
why these experiences are so important to have, even though they seem very negative at the time. But it gives you the opportunity to speak from experience exactly what it's like and what it does to your sense of self.
Yeah, it is such an ego crushing. Like everything that you think you know about yourself just starts to like suddenly nothing goes. You're not any of that. When you get in there, you're going through all of the lower virtues of your sense of self, of all the social indoctrination, of every personality trait that we have, that a lot of it has been conditioned by the world. You know, we've accepted ourselves as that without even realizing it. And so in there, you can't hide from who you are, and nobody else can either. And so you see where people are really at developmentally, you know, and it's a whole bunch of guys, no matter what age, who really all have tremendous wounding or even moderate wounding from way back, and they never really got over it. And so they get in there and they can't help but be who they are. And you see what the world trains people to be like, you know. But anyway, we could go forever about that. I know I'm passionate about it.
Yeah, well, you should be, because there's millions of people who are incarcerated in the United States. We incarcerate people at a higher rate than a bunch of countries combined, and we're damaging people.
Yeah.
Essentially, we're not helping them, we're damaging them, because it is a business. And I'm glad you brought that up, but we don't have to stay on that topic. We can I could do a whole show on that alone. And
Well,
maybe
we will.
someday.
We're probably gonna anyway, like you said.
Yeah,
There's just a
exactly.
million things we can focus on. So
All right, so then moving right along, you are also a hemp pioneer. Did you mean that because of the incarceration, or did you mean that because?
no, believe it or not, I mean, my parents moved from New York City into the woods of Maine and had my brother and I up there. And we lived communally. We lived off the land. My middle name is Leaf. You know, they named me Seth Leaf Pruzansky. I usually go by Seth Leaf because it's easier.
Oh, okay.
But like you said, it pronouncing Pruzansky is not.
Pruzansky. Oh, I would have said it right. That's good, but I
Some
didn't want to
people get
take
it.
the chance. I
Most
didn't want to
don't.
take the chance, but
Yeah. But you know, our dog was Viva Sativa. I grew up in this just a really beautiful environment, in the sense that, you know, there's tons of other like communal people all over living in the area, and we would all get together regularly. They'd have volleyball parties, and all the
oh,
kids would
nice.
play and just have a great time. And that was reality. You know, I've often told people, like, my early childhood was perfect as far as setting the ground or the framework for who I became. If I didn't have that foundation, I probably wouldn't have been able to make it through all the really difficult things that started to happen as I turned into a teenager.
I got one comment in the chat
Yes.
already. I want to bring it up. It's not really a question, but, well, but the question is asked in the title of the one blog that you have called "I'm Awake Now What."
.com, yep. Or
.com, yes.
SethLeaf.com will go to it also.
Oh,
It's
okay.
easier. That's probably what I'm going to make.
What is that all about?
So when I was incarcerated, I wrote down everything that I could remember about my life, and immediately I saw a pattern of like these self-sabotaging beliefs, behaviors, and actions that I unconsciously adapted to as who I am. You know, I believed that I was my beliefs, my behaviors, my actions, all the things that happen in my world. Like most people, I thought that was just who I am. I thought it was normal. And it wasn't until things just completely shifted that I realized, you know, my early childhood and how perfect it was, and how I was able to really come to the awareness that I am this life force. I am connected to infinity, and everybody and everything is, but so few realize it.
Yeah, that's it.
When I got in there and I'm writing all this stuff down, I'm deconstructing all the different layers and levels of all my personality traits, like I was just telling you. And bit by bit, none of it applied to me. And even more than that, it didn't apply to me when I was in there, because in there, I didn't know who I was. It just was so like, I grew up in the woods of Maine, like really loving family, loving friends and neighbors. And being in there was not loving. But I was stressed out and I'm writing and I'm just like, I'm losing it. Every moment was unbearable for the first 6 months, probably.
I think that's, yeah,
But then,
that's where my son's at.
and we'll talk about that too if you want. Like on the side, we can. I
Yeah,
would love to help.
privately. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's heartbreaking. It's
you're actually
heartbreaking.
the fifth person this week that has told me that.
See that it's insane, and we are brainwashed. The public is brainwashed too about who the good guys, who the bad guys, how these are statutes, codes, constitutional republic, sovereignty, all of that kind of. Oh, it just it makes me crazy.
Well, like all the training, right? All the social indoctrination, all the institutionally injected belief systems, all of that really is very small compared to what we really are. But since nobody's focusing on what we really are, then, it's hard to know what to do. But as I was in that situation, incarceration nation, literally, like we can
Yeah,
talk
we
about,
are. Yeah, no
but
doubt about it.
out of nowhere, after about 6 months, I just suddenly had this experience where I was smiling.
Oh,
And it
well,
didn't
that's
make
good.
any
Making
sense.
the best out of a bad situation.
But I wasn't, in my mind, in my emotions, I wasn't happy or smiling. I was having the worst, an all new low in my life. But I couldn't stop smiling. People like, don't smile, don't cry, don't show any emotions in here because they will, whatever. All these threats about all
Threats.
these overgrown men who really are wounded children that never got over it. But I didn't care. Like, I would cry when I felt like it. I would smile when I wanted to because I was feeling it. I wasn't going to hide it. But I didn't understand why it was happening at first because everything in my environment suggested that I shouldn't be crying. I mean, sorry,
Oh
I shouldn't be
yeah.
smiling. I should
Either
be
one.
angry and yelling and fighting and all the things that
Yeah.
happen there. Not everything. It doesn't always happen. And I know I don't want to let you down about your son. He'll be fine. But
Mhm.
for me, it provided an opportunity that I probably never would have really been conscious of had I not be in that situation. And so in many ways, these prisons are the most real monasteries in the world because if you go in there and you have no plan, then yeah, you're going to be subjected to the environment. But if you get in there and you do the opposite of what the experience is, so instead of being on guard and like super hyper alert and stressed out,
Yeah,
I
that's
did the opposite. You just smile, relax. Then more stressful things would happen. And I'd be like, oh, yeah, that's a cue to relax even more. So I kept doing the opposite of all these experiences and everything that was being said in there. And the feeling of the smile that kept happening, the more I would become conscious of it and really try to understand where it was coming from, it led me into this journey of life force, because in every single one of us is this invisible, beyond genius, intelligent force of energy that knows how to operate all of these systems of our bodies, whether we're awake or asleep.
yeah,
But who focuses on that?
nobody.
Hardly anybody in these Western civilizations. But now this
Yeah.
whole like pop culture spirituality thing is starting to really open the gates because you know how it is. Like, it's not about how you look. It's not like, but you know what? They used to never focus on any of this stuff anyway. Like when I grew up, nobody was talking about this stuff. even my family, their friends, like there wasn't any framework for it, you know?
Mhm.
And, but as I went through this process, I kept becoming more and more in love with my life. And I came to realize, like, wow, as brutal as this was getting here, this is the most beautiful opportunity of who knows how many lifetimes, because I was able, like I was saying, I did the exact opposite of what I was experiencing. And I set up these little cues in my mind, you know, because I noticed patterns everywhere. It's like it's a perfect place to observe people, not directly. You don't want them to see
Keep
you
it
looking
careful.
at
Yeah.
but the patterns are there, you know, like you're just there and you see how all these people keep doing the same thoughts, beliefs, behaviors, actions over and over and over. And they've come to accept that as normal, or that's who they are. And so bit by bit, like all the patterns that I saw in myself, they had nothing to do with who I was, who I was able to be in those moments. And so I just let it all go. And I was able to form an entire new sense of self that loved life
You had to
unconditionally.
raise yourself, your sense of self above the circumstances that you were in order to survive.
And more than survive. I mean, yeah, in the
Yeah.
beginning, it was all about
That's
survival, you
survival.
know?
Yeah, that word is overused, but I, I know where you're going with that. That's it's important because ours actually, you have to be able to do that no matter where you are. When you
Yes.
go within and connect with your divine being.
It's what we are, it's what everybody and everything is. And yet, so few are aware of that. But it can change in a moment because
Quickly.
very quickly, because we have been dumbed down intentionally so that we don't focus on this life
Right.
force, right?
Brainwashed and poisoned and low frequencies all over the place. And when you are that way, it's easy to be mind controlled and to be programmed, indoctrinated, you name it. Yeah.
But even all that, like you came to the meditation that I did last week, and it's like when we become conscious of the source of our consciousness and we feel our heartbeat and we begin to realize that there is this like supremely intelligent force of invisible energy that allows us to be here. And instead of having no idea that that's even there, you know, most people are so in their head they forget that there's a neck and a body.
Right.
Like, go ahead.
I really believe too that we need to get out of the head and into the heart, which is what your book is really all about.
And then from there, the rest of the organs, the glands, all the fluids in our body, when you get the heart and the brain in coherence and communicating, the rest of you just comes right into it. And when your entire sense of self is fully identified with this life force, because you create a habit of prioritizing what I would say is the most important relationship, certainly of my life. It is the most important relationship. And without that, what do we have? We become stuck. We become addicted to who we think we are based on what the world taught
Yeah.
us.
That's why some people, like if they, if you were in a particular career, for example, and all of a sudden it's over now, and you identified your image with that particular position, and now you're devastated. That's when you're going to have to go in and find out who you really are and what really matters. And that's why I bring people like you on the show, because that's where we all need to go to. That's where we need to be. And I see, and I have another guest called Michelle Marie, and we talk. She's written a couple of books and about going direct, direct to source,
Mm.
and because we have that connection anyway. I guess we just don't believe it, or we haven't been taught it. And actually, we've been taught, some of us, but if I'm not, I don't want to cause any, issues with Christianity or anything like that. But
Yeah.
basically, those religions, we call that heresy practically, to think that you are connected that way to God when we are the children of God.
It is
Ah,
this, right? Exactly. It's like, how? Why do we need a middleman, a middle woman, a middle anything when we are that? Like, come on, common
exactly.
sense here. But no, people, like, even the language that we learn to speak and the way
Yep.
we speak, we are the spelling of everything. We put ourselves into a spell that we think is normal and that we think is reality. And all it does is just, with every time you reinforce or become aware of your own patterns and like, this is who I am. I'm angry, I'm upset, I can't believe this, I can't believe that. The more we do that, it's one more brick into the wall, into the prison of self-awareness that really, more than anything, yeah, the world taught us, but we unconsciously consented to allowing that.
I know that's hard to face somewhat. It's hard to face for people, but it's true. We consented. We consented to a lot more than we realized. Part of the reason for that was we trusted where trust wasn't warranted. So being poisoned and brainwashed probably didn't help matters any.
Well, that's why you see how dysfunctional probably the whole world is, you know? I mean, I've been to third world countries. I've been around, and it's like when people see the way that most people on this planet live, it is a wake-up call. Now, the indigenous people who are disconnected from a lot of that and they're still living in harmony with the natural world, that's different. But these cities
Oh, yeah.
that are just filled with homeless people and worse, children.
Oh, it's gotten horrible. In some of the major cities, the number of homeless is just, and it just makes me so angry. And here we have all these homeless people, Americans, and here we have sending money overseas instead of helping your own people, helping unlawful immigration instead of the Americans that live here who've paid into it their entire life.
My friend, my roommate, came in early and he just tells me, I don't pay attention to the news. I'm
Yeah, I
born a
don't either.
political atheist. I just don't. I
I
never bought
yeah
into it. But
yeah. I
like
I really
a
don't
movie,
either.
a
I know
comic,
about it, but I don't. Mm.
yeah, it's possessive, right? It possesses people
And
and
it's full of lies.
full of lies. But he was just telling me there was a new comic book movie that just came out, and it was like, I don't know, it did like 500 or 600 million in sales. And it's like people go and watch a 2 hour movie, and the companies that make it bring in $600 million in revenue. And for a movie, meanwhile, the homeless, like you said, here in this country it's off the charts. But you know what? Like, what really hurts the most is the children.
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
how many, like, how disconnected to our life force do we have to be when we can just like not even pay attention to children who are orphaned, homeless, struggling? Like, and again, like in this country, you don't see that as much with children, but all those third world countries, and these children, a lot of them are related to the indigenous people and peoples of that part of the world, but they're not out with their people. They're in these cities of everybody trying to emulate the Western world, Western society, the USA, and the American dream. Like, talk
Um,
about the most narcissistic, narrow focus there could be. And again, most don't even question it. They just think it's
yeah.
normal.
They measure people by the size of their pocketbook instead of their character or what they do. It's so true, and yet at the same time, it's hard to do much without it.
You
It's
know,
catch 22.
well, it is also too, but even I'm sure most people are going to agree with this. Obviously, with your audience, I know they will. But we have this life. Like, look, it went by pretty quick. Here we are now. I know since I was born and started to become aware in this body, seemed like yesterday, but now look. So it goes
Yeah.
quick.
I don't want
And
to be this old. Yeah.
well, well, but it's a blessing, right? I used to never think I'd live till I was 20, and then 20 came and I just kept living, But when you look at this world and you look the way we live our lives, and you like so many people I know and love and care about, they don't care that there's this invisible force of energy causing their heart to beat. They don't even care. They don't even want to know it. Doesn't have anything to do with who they are. But when we leave these bodies, or if we leave them, there it is, front and center. Everything that we could be developing a healthy relationship with here in this life, in these bodies, we could have been doing that. I can see the comments.
Yeah, I put that. Yeah, I got Rachel just put up a comment and I put it up there.
Yeah.
It's and it's true. Yeah. She says, I've been saying that for a long time. We pay taxes for them to help us not to send money to other countries. Makes me sad and angry. People have to stop paying taxes until Americans are helped. Amen to that.
Amen.
Well,
Absolutely. No, women. I like that better. Men, no,
I
they're
never
not
heard
there.
that one. Okay. Yeah,
I
actually,
just
it's
made it
not
up
even.
now. I'm just trying to.
I like. It's better to say, and so it is, or because of there's actually history behind that word that's not good. So anyway, uh,
Back to
that's
language, right? Like we are
yep.
taught to like,
Spells.
and everybody just thinks it's normal. But when the life force is time or ready to leave this body, then there it is. Like I was just saying, it's front and center. The most important relationship of all of our lives. And nobody wanted to create a relationship with it while it was here in these bodies. And then here it comes, and like where there's nothing logical about it. But yet so many people are so convinced that yes, this is me, this is my life, this is my house, this is my car, this is my family, and this is it, this is what we do, and we're gonna make tons of money, but we're not gonna get too close to our neighbors. We're gonna like
Oh yeah,
talk
it's
about
every man for himself.
that's
That's
it, and it really
and that's
is.
sad. It's sad. That's not the way it's supposed to be, but that's the way we've been indoctrinated and conditioned to be. But part of that is because of the financial slavery system, the debt
Yeah.
system that we've been a part of too. But back to what you were just saying, I would like you to explain your experiences that you had that were near death experiences, because those have a tendency to really enlighten people in ways that they weren't before. And when they share that with others, it's helpful to the ones that I don't want to have to almost die in order to have that experience.
And see, that's the beauty of it, though, is we don't have to
Yeah,
like
exactly.
that whole process is here with us now. The only thing that isn't about it is the illusion that it's not with us.
Yeah.
You know, people
Indoctrination.
just, so for me, I don't even know how many. I've had many, 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 and they're all induced in different ways. I was in a car accident, 65-mile-an-hour head-on collision when I was, yeah, I think 14, 13 or 14. So that happened. And then I was so wounded from like the age 13 on because I got bullied so severely. My family moved out of the woods and into suburbia. And they're like, well, the way that we raised you, it's not the way the world is anymore. So we're going to move. You're going to go to school. You're going to be a doctor or a lawyer, like this whole like rap. And
Yeah.
but it was my family. So I
Yeah, and the
trusted
one for the
my
women was
kid.
that's what I was supposed to do. I was supposed to marry a doctor or a lawyer.
That's the programming, right?
Yes, yes.
Most get it. And we're taught to feel like we're outcast if we don't have that,
Yeah.
goal setting, American dream focus. but I got bullied so severely and nobody did anything about it. And I couldn't deal with it. My father finally acknowledged it, because they're like, well, we're from New York City and you got to be tough, and you can do it. You're not. But I was so sensitive and they didn't understand that.
I have a son, my youngest one was like that. He was severely bullied too, and I think it has damaged him. He struggles because of it.
Yeah. And but it's also like I have friends who are really sensitive and nothing even close to as dramatic as that happened to them, but they are forever wounded, not forever, but up till this point in their life, they feel so defeated. Their whole self-esteem is just knocked off balance. And this is the world we live in, right? And when things happen, if we're not taught to feel our feelings, process our emotions, be with them while they're happening, because if we're not, then all that stuff gets bottled up inside of us. And we begin to look for ways to just cover it up and not be conscious of it. And of course, that leads to all kinds of issues. And that's what was happening with me. So, okay, no matter, I'll say this before I get into the near-death experiences, but no matter how the near-death experience was initiated, whether it was from a car accident, a heart attack, severe overdosing. I mean, I had like $1,000 a day heroin, coke, meth addiction for 3 years. I overdosed many times, like lost a lot of people that I loved and cared about to all of that. But no matter what it was that brought me to that place where it's like the edge of, I actually wrote a song about it, the edge of self, where you come to the edge of everything you think you know about who you are. And all of that is behind you. And then in front of you is everything that you don't consciously know about or realize. And it is scary because you're part of it. At some point that your past is going to end and become part of it. And so no matter what happened, whatever the different ways of arriving at the edge of self, that point where everything we were that we knew comes to an end as we go into the unknown. When I came into that, no matter what it was that got me there, it was almost the same every time. Meaning there's this whole process where all the past, everything I thought I was and I thought life was about, it all comes into question. I always was able to feel how the living world around us, all the animals, the plants, the air, there's so much life everywhere, but it was almost like it was, yeah, you hear that buzziness?
I don't know what it is. Sorry, I'm not sure where it's coming from.
It might be me. Actually, wait.
I don't know. It could be me too. I don't really know.
I'm going to see if this works. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can still hear you fine.
All right. No, I hear the buzzing. That's all right. We'll do what we can. So no matter what it was that brought me to that point, to the edge of self, what would happen was always the same. And it's this process of, it's almost like your whole life literally flashes before your eyes. And as you're experiencing that, like when it first happened to me, I was in the woods and all the flora and the fauna were blaming me on behalf of our species and what we've done to the natural world. And literally, it's like pointing, it's like, you did it. You're the one that did it. And it's that level of intensity, like getting duck pimples everywhere.
Wow.
But that level of intensity. And so for me, I would go into this space where I felt all of that. And the feeling of it is scary as hell, but it's meant to be, because you basically have two choices at that point. You can admit to all of that, like you did it, even though you really didn't. Most of us didn't choose all of this. It happened. I know a lot of people say we chose it before we came here, but that's a whole other question. It's a
Yeah,
whole
that's
other
a whole
topic
other,
to
yeah.
explore. But what would happen with me is if I stayed in fear, it would just get more and more intense, and more images of all these life cycles and everything that really we're all connected to, and that we are, and that our ancestors were. Like, all of that gets processed. It all gets brought right up, and for some reason the soul is like processing it. And just like in our bodies, right? We're born into this world. We have our life cycles, our pathways, and these patterns. But the soul, the energy, the life force that we are, has its own journeys. And it's way more expansive than this one life that we're in. And so all of that comes into play. And there's this part where if you're afraid, it keeps getting more and more intense. But if you can find the part of you that, for lack of better words, that loves life and can bring the eyes of love and empathy and understanding, and the realization that this wasn't my intention to create all of this horror. It happened as a result of not being conscious. But
Yeah.
now that I'm here, now that I am conscious of that part, then it's like we become integrated into what I would call the web of life, right? Not the worldwide artificial web, but the organic web of life. And when we're in that, I mean, everybody that I ever loved and lost and care about, all the feelings that, the potential feelings that I knew could happen so that we could live here in a whole other level of power, it's all there. And in that place, you remember everything. And, you know, it's almost like at that point, like, I always chose to come back and do the best that I could, no matter what. And it kept happening. And so the more it would happen, the more I would remember every time that it happened. And I realized that I could help other people face this part of themselves now, here, in this life, in this world, not when you're on the brink of dying. Face it now. And it's so simple, really. It's like you said earlier, you get your head and your heart in sync together. You relax, you just wholly observe how your life force is genius, and you become the observer of that. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that one of the things that I've catch myself doing more now than before is when you have a tendency to react to something, or you think you're going to, is kind of stopping and going, is that a loving response? Is that, where is that really coming from? Is that, you know, positive, or is it negative? And a lot of little negatives can sneak in there and you don't even realize it, but they're very negative. It's like money don't grow on trees, or I mean, that's just one example.
But it kind of does, right?
Yeah, it does. Being
Yeah.
a leaf, I guess you would know. No, I just kidding.
That plant in
I couldn't
particular,
eat it. No,
I don't use it at all. I don't do
it's funny.
drugs. I'm so high on life because I made the habit of it. And that's kind of where it all came to. Like, I was in there choosing to be at peace, choosing to feel in love with my life force, despite everything around so negative and so hurting. I used all of that as inspiration to connect to this part of myself deeper and deeper. And all I really did is I made a habit of being so trusting in the process of life, so much trust for this life force and everything it's doing. And after a while, like, you keep focusing your attention on it, it starts to influence you. So this, like, miraculous force of nature, this life force that we are, when you take the part of you that's wounded and lost and going through all the things that have been so normalized in our world, and you commit to becoming conscious of what I would say is the most important relationship, certainly of my life. And, you know, when I observe others, it seems like that applies to most people.
Right.
And when you make that relationship, all of these old patterns and thoughts and beliefs and feelings of, you know, self-defeating, victimized kind of
Worthlessness, yeah.
all that, they all have higher and higher octaves. So when you're able to overcome that stuff, then they turn into very different frequencies, and your body chemistry is right on it, you know? And that's why when I do my best to get everybody having an inner smile and feeling it, because you can choose to put that smile on your face and immediately, I haven't heard anybody yet who's told me, oh, it makes me angry, or I haven't heard that at all. Everyone's like, wow, okay, put a smile on my face, I feel better. And it's like, yeah, that smile is the switch that you flick by choice alone. And when you get good at turning it on and off, you realize that you have the template or the foundation to continue building those feelings. And those feelings are, again, they have all these different octaves and levels and layers. And when we become enveloped and consciously aware of what we know and what we temporarily has, wait, so
Oh, that's I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's an awesome comment. Oh my God, that's right.
Yeah, isn't that amazing
Wow.
though? Yeah.
Maybe it's true. I mean,
I grew up with the Pruzansky family in Passaic, New Jersey. I wonder if they were related to you. Thanks for
oh my
being
gosh, that's so
transparent
fun.
and sharing your experience. That helps others to express themselves too,
Oh.
instead of being ashamed of something that might have happened to them. They can, it's an experience, and that shame kind of thing. That's a conditioning indoctrination from a uh, satanic realm. I hate to say it, but that's what it is.
And you know what, too? Like, that was the thing. Like, when I would really like go out of body and detach from everything, because it's almost like when you go into these realms, you can't bring anything into it, like including your thoughts and your fear and all the stuff of the past that is hooked into you that maybe you weren't conscious of. It doesn't, if you're going into that, this process burns all that stuff away and you enter as the pure consciousness that you are. And, you know, for the most part, like, we were babies, right? When there was conception happening, we all were like these little salamander, like, kind
Yeah.
of like, right? And it's
I
so
like
weird
how it
that,
it just starts with a flash of light, because that's what we are. We're light. Heavy
so
light, but you know.
it's, you know, we're all of it, I feel like, because, but it's more predominant this, like when I just in my normal day-to-day awareness, I allow myself to be aware of nature. And for the most part, nature, especially in the cosmos, there's more coherence than there is chaos. You know, for the
I love
most
nature.
part, everything is like in harmony with itself. And the chaos, it isn't there to be this like opposing force that hates life and wants to put children in hell. It's a necessary part of the development of itself. So all this coherence all happening, and then maybe like a star, just for an example, a big old dwarf white star, where maybe the terms are wrong, I don't know, but when it gets to the point where it's getting ready to go, it just gets intense, turns into chaos, and it's just like, and then blows, just gone. Yeah, and then not that long after it, it starts to become entrained to the predominant coherence around it. And I was like, okay, well, if that's happening out there, it's definitely happening in here for sure. And if I can create that predominant state of coherence, then the chaos becomes a necessary part of the growth, the development, the evolutionary process of us as these souls animating these beings and role modeling that out into the world. Talk about empowering. And so that darkness, that chaos has a part into it. But when the opposite is happening for us, like it's so easy and so obvious to see that the masses, the mass human consciousness in this plane, in this dimension, in this scale, people don't want to know about what they really are. They're afraid to know about it. And so they ignore it. And it's easy to peg all kinds of stuff. That's evil. That's Satan. That's because they're not in coherence with themselves. So of course it's going to be all of that. But when you're in a state of coherence and you have conditioned yourself to be amidst the primary energies that are in the physical universe alone, much less these higher dimensions, that is reality. That's what's really going on. And when you can sustain that in this world and you trust it and you love it, then when you see all these things that certainly are destructive and evil and all that terrible stuff, you're able to witness it. And see, this is the part that gets kind of weird for people, because if you're not, like, most people are triggered by it and it's obvious, but what if that darkness exists because we are in such an addiction to fear that we're actually creating that division within us, and we're projecting all the views of all these things happening. And what if the real division in the world isn't out there? What if it's us? What if it is us that were these little tiny developing newts and these little salamanders that started growing heart, hands, legs, all that, and then we were being animated by pure consciousness? Yeah, there's genetic stuff that came in, there's ancestral lines, but for the most part, we were in these bodies and our consciousness was pure. We were aware without anything else influencing. Didn't care about language, none of it, So we all had these moments where that pure consciousness was there. And we can return to it right this moment if we want. And when we do that and we get good at doing it, we build a habit, then everything reverses and we realize, like, okay, now I'm in alignment with reality. And it is a very empowering place to be, because it's almost like, who's going to love the unlovable? Who is going to, what if all these things exist because we're projecting our fear at it and we can't stop? But if we did, if we were able to love greater than the evil that it's inflicting onto this world, who's to say that we can't change everything?
Oh, we can.
Yes.
We can. But getting there is the problem, and getting people to see that, to feel that, become aware of that. But addiction to fear, I hadn't heard that before, and that's a very interesting way of looking at it, because it does definitely appear that way. We are addicted to fear.
And even more than that, we're addicted to who we think we are. That's like
That
almost
too,
the
yeah.
root. It's the root of all addiction,
That addiction to fear, something that just came to mind right now was that I used to, sometimes my kids would want to watch a scary movie, that's a creepy kind of scary, and I go, no, I don't want, you shouldn't watch that, kind of,
Poltergeist.
yeah, or something. And it's on, maybe it is an addiction to fear. And we have these frequencies from Gwen towers that are going around all the time, and the media is always putting out fear propaganda and so on. So yeah, it's fear.
And meanwhile, here we are. Like, the irony in all this is, no matter who it is, if they have a brain in their head and a heart in their chest, and their body is working, they are this invisible life force that is animating these beings, and they have the same potential to become awakened to our true form, which is energy. It's all energy. And all the glands, all these different plexus centers that are throughout the body, when we get in tune with that and we become conscious of how miraculous life is, and our smile that we keep putting on our face starts to just become, it's there, it's always there, it's our first nature. That's where the ability to override and transcend all of the limitations of our species, because the predominant role, the predominant flow of reality is coherence. And again, like, those little bits of chaos are necessary, but we're reversed because everybody is so disconnected from their coherence. They're just in the chaos, and that manifests mostly as stress. You know, everybody's stressed out, everybody's blaming everybody else for it. Nobody wants to take responsibility because it means making some big changes. And these simple things that we're talking about, like, it's not hard to figure out, right? Like, what is causing that? What is making me think? What, there is electricity, there's like a bioelectric frequency that is there in
It's
all
our
of us.
aura. It's our soul. Yeah. It's
And
all
think about
a
it.
big part of us. Yeah.
But like, for me, anytime I think about that, it's instantly humbling. Instantly. How can it not be, right? Like, this is this is the news. This is the news that nobody's really paying attention to for the most part. But if we started paying attention to it, all would be revealed. And
Since we
go
we
ahead,
have
sorry.
these big bioelectric fields that can interconnect, and when we get in the right vibration, the love vibration, um, can you
Imagine.
imagine how powerful we would be
Oh,
collectively if we all did this together? We could change the world quickly.
and in that is kind of the irony and the humor of, like, we actually already are that. We're already all connected to it. The only thing in the way is, like I said earlier, this illusion that we're not.
Yeah,
And
and
that's been
the
normalized.
programming, the conditioning, the indoctrination. People need to start recognizing their own programs. We all have our own programs. Mine might be different than yours. Yours might, somebody else's might be different than both of ours, for that matter. It just depends on so many things that happened in our life, and
Yeah.
that's where, and our culture, of course, too, has been very responsible. The media has been very responsible for all of this programming, but that's part of what people call the inner work. And we were trying to think of a word that was different than work, because that doesn't always sound pleasant, but it is work regardless. But recognizing those programs, and then starting to call yourself on it, checking yourself, basically, is what it boils down to.
Yeah. I mean, and though, like, when somebody finally realizes, like, okay, I'm going to take my attention, my energy, and I'm going to invest it into being conscious of the root of this consciousness, of its intelligence. And you want to talk about an intimate relationship, you want to talk about forever love. When you start to reconnect to that, all of these different qualities of possibility, of potential, just start becoming self-evident, because they've always been there. They are always there with all of us all the time. And again, it's the illusion that makes us think that we're not. But when we make a habit of this, when we create self-awareness influenced by the miracle that's allowing us to be aware in the first place,
Right.
it's worth it. And when you start, like, I'm experiencing this thing now where there's so many people who are doing this around the world, and you create a new standard for yourself, meaning, like, all of the old things that you used to do unconsciously, just, they start to go away, because you have made a commitment to have the most important relationship with your life force. And that relationship starts to inspire you. And one of the ways it inspires is with love. You know, you love yourself, you love life. And when you look around, you see that everybody has that in them. Were you going to say something? You look like.
No, no, I just saw somebody walk by. But I was looking at the power of unity would catapult us into 5D, and that is so true. We could be catapulted so quickly once everybody catch on. And you know what? It doesn't take the entire people to do that. It only takes a certain percentage, and then they'll just be lifted with, you know, or if need be to. I don't know. I just think everybody's going for some reason, even if they aren't as developed as, I don't know. We'll find out, won't we?
Or we already are, right?
Yeah. That's true. This is true. That's the best way to look at it. And Linnea is saying that the governments around the world are trying to keep people in fear. That's been a modus operandi in all of the governments. But I honestly, they're being taken down. They're going. And things are changing all over the planet.
It's funny when I think about them, the first thing that comes to mind is bacteria, right? Because here we are, we're alive, we're in this world, but in and on our bodies and in the natural habitat, there's all kinds of different species of bacteria. And they don't care about any of the stuff that we do, you know, like they're not worried about Trump and Biden and like
I'm not worried about them either, really. But anyway, you know what I mean.
Well,
anyway.
you know, and I get it, but it's like, at what point do we realize that our quote unquote world leaders, no matter who is what in any of it, the real issues are not being addressed, which is really a big part of it is consumerism, because all of this illusion of disconnection that's being projected out to us, it is all made for us to buy trash products from corporations that have taken over the world. I mean, my companies are in the natural foods industry, and I watched how just in my lifetime, the natural food industries went from like this awesome grassroots, you know, phenomenon where people are caring about health, and now they're all bought out for the most part. There's a few independent ones. Everything is bought. None of it is healthy. And this is what we vote for this. Yeah, with our dollars. Yeah, we vote for it in other ways. But more than anything, we vote for this with our attention, but better with our lack of attention, because we are focusing on all the things that have been being projected at us through all of these agencies and everything. And so whether we believe it or not, or what, like the very act of giving your sacred attention to this nonsense. I mean, toxic, like
some of it is really downright toxic, like you said. Oh my God, some of the stuff I'm seeing, I'm going, is this really happening? Are you kidding me?
But back to the bacteria analogy, you know, you think about the universe, you think about, I mean, there's planets probably with mountains the size of this planet, you know, there's just it, like anything we could think of and imagine and dream. And so like a grain of sand in all the oceans of the galaxy, if it's even real, but think of it like that, one little grain of sand in all the beaches of all the potential worlds in this galaxy. That's how small they are. That's how little and weak and pathetic that their agenda is. And they don't deserve our attention. We are giving our power to something that is very sick. It needs tremendous healing. But in order to really be a catalyst of that, we've got to take our power back. We, as these individuals, got to choose to create this internal alignment with the miracle that's already there. And from that place, our support right there with us, never left us. And that when enough of us are doing that individually and then together,
Yeah, because it's somehow it kind of spreads out. You know, it. I don't know the right word. I'm not thinking of the right word at the moment, but it just what you do affects others, a lot of them.
Yeah.
So the more people that get into that brain heart coherence thing, the more it's going to rub off. It's the 100 monkey effect.
Yes.
That's what I was looking
That's
for. Yeah.
that's right. I mean, yeah, that's it. You know, all the meditations that we've been doing every week for the past 14 months. I mean, we're like, who's the 100th monkey gonna be? Then who's the 1,000th monkey? Let's go for the millionth monkey. Imagine
It's
if we had 1,000,000 people intentionally getting into heart and brain coherence regularly. We're
right.
doing it every week, every day, together, and we know we are. Yes, I mean, of course it's corrupt. You know, of course it's just twisted
But
because
as we're finding out, we're changing it. We're
yeah,
saying, no, we don't consent to that. Are you kidding me? And it's been hidden from us. That's why they don't want any transparency. But it's like you said, where our attention goes, our energy flows.
yeah,
So, thank you, Maria. That's so true.
yes.
Uh, it's we're changing it. See, and all the things that we had going against us, from the programming, the conditioning, the fear, the you name it. Humanity has proven the real power because look how many people have pulled themselves out of horrific situations
Yeah,
and rose above it all. It's because of that power, that divine essence inside of us that gives us the ability to keep going. So when we nurture that, can you just imagine how powerful?
that's it. It's that simple. But it's just doing it until it becomes second nature, then first nature. And when you get to that point where you've like intentionally focused on it enough to create a habit, that habit sticks and it becomes the new set point. Doesn't mean you're perfect at all. Like it doesn't mean that you're still not going to experience trauma, drama, all the things that, you know, have become so normalized for almost everybody. But it allows you to experience that as just little chaotic points and occurrences in the world. You created the inalienable right or state of being in harmony and coherence with your life force. And when those chaotic things happen, it's there to teach you how to grow and evolve and how to become more in tune with what we all already are. It's amazing.
Exactly. And bringing out besides the love factor, the compassion factor. I think they're kind of intermeshed, but compassion is so important too because that brings forth understanding for people that are in difficult circumstances and helping them to rise above it. And we
Yeah.
have a lot of things that people have to rise above, from homelessness to um,
Oh,
involved, sexual abuse, all kinds of different things
yeah.
that people have had to deal with. And they do, but they rise above it. And I mean, some of the things that have happened to people, I just shake my head and go, oh my God, I can't
Mm.
believe it, you know? And yet they're out there trying to help others at this stage of the game.
Because you get to this point where it's like you experience like all the courts of men, right? There's like a cosmic court. It's almost like the universe is this great accounting system. And when you get clear with that, then it's like the past is gone, leveled, and you are an agent of divine purpose or focus. Even I try to be careful of the words I use because,
I know.
well, they mean so many different things to
Thanks,
different
right.
people. But really, it's super simple because there is, I'll volunteer and I'll say this. There's an invisible field of beyond genius energy that is way smarter than I am. But that when I train myself to focus on, it influences me.
To access it, yeah.
Why would we not want to really focus on that, you know?
So true.
Yes, I love these comments.
Yeah, they're coming in now. Yes, easy choices, smart choices. Here's a good one too. We must move into oneness without judgment of others. Judgment is bad.
And it's also part of it. Like, it's almost, see, so many different ways to have this conversation too. And depending on where somebody is at in their own ability to perceive reality, whether they're super just in tune consciously or if they're not, there's going to be different ways of perceiving all of this. But again, like, the simple part is we've already been babies in these bodies, and we didn't know any of this stuff. We didn't care about any of the propaganda or news or belief system. None of that mattered. We were just, if we were born into loving families, we were happy, we were sleeping, or like loving life, because there's nothing but pure connectivity. We are animated by our life force, every single one of us. And so if we were born into that, we most certainly can return to it while we're here.
This is another good comment. The only real currency in life is love.
Yeah.
And that is so too.
Yeah.
Here's another one. Linda, Lighthouse Linda, I like that name. I'm loving the high vibration show. Thank you so much. I recently started programming myself instead of them programming me. Raise your vibration and change your world. That is so true, Linda. I couldn't agree more. I've been doing that myself. I have a little thing that I've been doing every day too. Actually 3, 6, and 9 times. And it was created by Tesla. Have you ever heard it before?
Maybe.
It's I am a radiant being of light, perfectly aligned with the infinite source of the universe, vibrating love, peace, and harmony.
I don't
Say
know
that 3 times, 6 times, and then 9 times. I've been saying it every day, and I feel like it's doing something.
So, well, for me, like, when I say words in this language, it's more like the feeling too, right? You say it and the intellect has a saying for it, but when you feel,
or and envision too,
mean,
at the same,
the combination of all that, you mix in your vision, your feeling, your intellect, your emotions, all of it, that is the energy you're creating.
Yeah, that makes it, so anyway, let's see, if no one else has any more questions, we probably might want to think about doing a little meditation.
I would love that. That's what everybody wants to do.
I'm sure. Let's see. Let me take this. Right, there we go. Okay. The floor is yours to lead the meditation.
All right. So we're going to do a simple guided coherence meditation. We're going to take everything that we discussed tonight and help everybody plant these seeds and nourish them and allow them to take root so that you can grow into what you've always known you have the potential to be. With that said, oh, there's good comments here.
Oh, yeah, there is. I know. I'm going to have to bring that up before we get started. Thank you, Maria.
Good to process.
Yeah, that is a good comment. So, and let me read it. It says, judgment is not a natural human instinct. We were forced into that behavior by the structure of society that the cabal, deep state, elites forced us to manifest by making us their food source and slaves. Yeah, they parasite off of our energy, which is why they like us in fear. They like us angry. They love that low frequency. They just eat it all up. And that's because they disconnected themselves from source, which we have.
And can you, the universe, or whatever we're going to call it, being a perfect accounting system. If these beings knew that, if they were in that, it applies to everybody, whether they know it or not. It is the fabric of our life source, Yeah. So
I like the one saying that I've seen a couple of times now. How does it go? Maybe I can say it right. we won't be the judge. We don't judge, but we'll make the arrangement or something like that. I can't remember
Mhm.
exactly how it goes, but they were talking about basically the military saying that. But anyway, okay, they are not able to create. That's true. They only mimic the copycat or copycats. They need us to do the creation, and then they take it and run with it. And um, we
Well,
are
like
so
AI.
powerful. Yeah.
Well, think like AI, right? Everybody's so focused on it, but the only reason there's AI is because it's simulating OI, organic intelligence. It doesn't, it has to mimic.
Oh, I'm gonna remember that one. I like that. OI. We don't want AI. We want OI.
We are OI. We're
Yes,
just
we
like,
are
oh,
OI.
we're giving too much attention to AI. And again, not that like we got to
OI, I
be,
guess. Yeah, I'm saying
yeah, AI
OI.
and OI.
OI. Yeah, not OA. OI. Okay, go ahead. Um, oh, somebody's mentioning about the Olympics. I was wondering what's going on in Paris. What's going on in Paris? I wasn't paying because I was hearing all this stuff about bad stuff going on, and I hadn't even had time to look at it. Then I found out it was the Olympics, and I'm going, oh, sure. They did one of their nasty, negative
Ritual.
pre-shows, rituals, whatever you want to call them. And she says to make people mad. Um, that's interesting. I'd have to. I don't know what they did, but I've seen the other ones. They predicted the shot and
Yeah.
and dancing doctors and nurses. Um, Unbelievable.
I'm blessed. I live Dr. Northrup, for those who know she lives in the town next to me, her and her family. And she said community equals immunity. And we've created this unbelievable community up here. And
That's awesome.
when we get together, everybody's in their heart, like they embrace each other, they celebrate diversity, all of it. Like so our natural state is to be loving, kind of like a baby, but a baby who's got purpose and focus. And this natural world guides us because if we were more conscious of consciousness, we would literally see, feel, hear, and experience our this life force that we are. It's not just in our body. It's as big as we're able to tune ourselves into it. And when we do that, let's do that actually.
Okay, let's
Let's,
do that. One last comment. Judgment divides us, and that is so true. Wide awake. I love
yeah,
my listening audience. They are on top of it. So thank you for your comments, and let's move into a meditation.
perfect. All right, so everybody, if you're in a chair or a couch or a bed, just get comfortable. That's the most important part. And so as you're sitting down or laying down, just really trust whatever it is that's holding your body weight up. Your chair, your couch, your bed, it's your best friend. And it has full loyalty to hold you up and take care of you while we do this. Wherever you are, just totally relax. From the top of your head, throughout all the different parts of your body, just scan it at your own pace. Just relax and allow yourself to be aware if there's any stress or pain or any kind of emotional anything. And just be aware of that, because that is the little bits of chaos that we're going to turn into coherence. You're totally relaxed. Focus on your breathing. Slow it down. Make it rhythmic, 3 or 4 seconds on the inhale, 3 or 4 seconds on the exhale. And don't over focus on it. Just kind of create that rhythmic pace with your relaxed body. And from that place, put a smile on your face, or you can do an inner smile. And that smile in this perfect environment of a body that's relaxed, with breathing that's regulated, that smile and the feeling it creates automatically and instantaneously changes your body chemistry. And it changes it because you are choosing to change it. You're relaxed, you're breathing deeper and slower, and your smile is something that when you feel the feeling of the smile, whether it's happy or excited or joyful, when you feel that feeling in your heart, with every beat of your heart is sending electromagnetic waves out into the world. Your heart is simultaneously sending that energy out while at the same time bringing it in. And your choice to love that, starting with your smile, that allows you to begin to let the pulse of your heartbeat bathe every cell in your body, because you've created the environment for it, to love it by choice alone. And that is empowerment. And so the more you do that, the more calm you become, and the more aware of how your smile is bathing every part of you in your own self-love, lit up from the smile. See if you can actually feel your heartbeat. Because if you can feel your heartbeat, then you can train yourself to feel your pulse anywhere in your body. And so if you have a tummy ache or a headache, or if you have any kind of pain or resistance in your body, when you can feel the pulse of your heartbeat in that part or parts of your body, then your pulse that is lit up by the feeling of your smile is taking your self-love. And when you can feel your pulse in the areas that hurt, you are reconditioning it with the most powerful medicine there ever could be. And that is your attention, your self-awareness, because it is happening, because this life force is allowing it to happen. Whatever you call the source of this, think of it as a gift that you are being given, but not just a gift. It's something that is being given so that we can learn to become stewards of these bodies, of this energy that is pulsing through us. And by being stewards of it, all it is just bringing these simple elements into our awareness of it and making a habit of it. And literally, you start to feel high on life. But it's not actually really high. It's more like it is what is actually real. And so when you let that part of you become steeped in this miraculous life force, the more you let yourself be conscious of this pulse with your self-love, the more you are able to feel it expand outward and at the same time inwards, each way to infinity. Meaning you can expand forever out into the world. And at the same time, you can totally dive down into the tiniest aspect of you, and it never ends. Either way are both infinite fractals of life force coming from the source of what it is we all are and what everything is. And this is hallowed grounds. This is sacred space. Nobody in this world has authority over you than you have for yourself. You are the one that is the guide, the leader of your own life force. You can direct where you need it to flow. And by your attention, you can amplify it to whatever degree you're ready to. And our ability to be these creative beings that exercise the power of what it is we all are, that is our inalienable rights. That is us taking our power back and creating a conscious marriage of it. We got divorced from it at some point back, but now we're bringing marriage back into it. And all that is we are choosing to prioritize this beyond profound relationship that we are. And you don't have to let anybody or anything in the world around you to treat you in any way that's derogatory or abusive or narcissistic or sociopathic. That is old. That is energy that is stuck, and it is no longer yours. You can let it go, and you can be the leader of your own life. And you can get so good at doing this that nothing really shakes you once you're back in harmony with this regularly. And it's almost the opposite. When you are in a sustained state of being that is coherence, in harmony with all of your organs and glands and fluids of your body, when you are consciously in tune with that, when you witness injustice or cruelty or any of the things in the world that we could say are the lower terrorized virtues of our human capacities. We are able to love the unlovable, but not for them. You're not doing this for them. You're doing it for you, so that you no longer have to project the victimization and the division that actually isn't from them. This division is seated within ourselves. It is there. And when we activate all of these other coherent aspects of our being, then we bridge that division. We take who we think we are and we marry it to what we are. Our personal identity, or our sense of self, becomes so intricately interwoven with this infinite life force, this web of life, the force of nature. This is reality. And we have a birthright to be in constant communication with it and create a sense of self from that internal place that offers us the ability to be who we have the potential to be. And when enough individuals choose to do this for themselves, and when we start to create greater global communities, just like all the roots and mycelia underground in a forest that's thriving, it's all in communication with itself. And so too are we with it when we choose to be. So let's allow everything that you experience, just let it be what it is for right now. And if you felt anything in you that was revelatory or aha, or something that lifted your feelings beyond the restriction or the pain or whatever, let that just be there and memorize the feeling of what it's like to transcend your pain. And that memory is something that you continue to add through. Just like the memories that keep us in trauma and pain, so too do they work the opposite way, where we get to create memories based on feelings that become the template for us to further develop and expand into full remembrance of what we are. So feel that if you did. And when you're ready, take your hands, put them together and start creating friction. Get them nice and warm. And when you're ready, take the palms of your hands, put them over your eyes and make darkness. And if you see any geometric patterns or anything, flashes, be aware of it. And when you're ready, here we are.
I saw flashes myself. And then something blue.
Yeah.
All right.
So it's that simple, really. You just do it consistently, and then eventually it just becomes normal.
Taking the time, and it's really not that much time, and making it a habit is.
I created a bunch of short meditations too. They're between 5 and 10 minutes. And because the nature of it is coherence, you can get into heart-brain coherence really quickly. And
Cool.
honestly, I think the short meditations are better than the long ones, because you can do the short ones, 3 or 4 or 5 times a day. And so you're installing all of the neural circuitry of what all of this potential means to you. And after a month, you just start getting good at it because you've made the habit, you know?
When you make it a habit, it makes a big difference. And you can fall out of the habit and then you have to start it all over again too.
Yeah,
that's happened to me before. But anyway, I'll just throw that out there.
Yeah.
But anyway, I can't thank you enough, Seth. This has been a wonderful session. We're at about an hour and a half, and I like to keep it to about that. And we can do this again. I think it would be a good thing.
Yeah, I would love to.
Oh, let's just see what Wide Awake saw when she. So anyway, just this is another her experience. She saw rainbow colors waving in my left eye often when I am awake, going about my day. What is this? Oh, do you know what that would be?
Life force.
Gives off, you know.
And you know, because we're like so steeped in these living geometries, and the more we become aware of it, the more that geometry can bloom or blossom or develop. And the more it does, and the more that we're conscious of it, the more all these things like colors and feelings and all of it just start to evolve to the degree that we are.
There are times when I'd see purple and gold. And, anyway, but I think we better call it a wrap. And I can't thank you enough for coming on the show. And I think I will have you back again. And
thank you.
I hope you enjoyed it. And we did cover a whole lot about your book, but that's why we'll have to do another. Oh,
that's Venus.
Cat.
She just came meowing.
Aw, kitty. Yeah, I have my little dog. She's over here sleeping on her back, all comfortable, totally zonked out. All right, well, I'll be in touch, and I'll send you a link for the show. Please, out there, please like, subscribe, and there's one other one. What is it? Like, subscribing. I don't know what else.
Tag.
Anyway. Whatever. Share. That's what it is. Share. Please share the video, and it helps the algorithms and all that good stuff. And because I am rather, they like to shadow being my stuff, but I like to rise above it. And so get it out there. I need your help that way. And if you're able to contribute to the show in any way, it's always greatly appreciated and needed.
And let's create the millionth monkey together.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, so we'll see you again soon, Seth. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gail. Thank you, everybody.
Yes, thank you all.
Love
and light out there. Love and light. Shine your light. And know thyself, as Plato or Socrates said. I think they both said it, actually. Anyway, okay. That being said, we'll see you next time.
All right.
We have found our way. It's a brand new day. We'll be making history. Are you with me? Won't you stay? We have come so far. This is who we are. And like the rising sun, we have just begun to play our part. This is the time we form the chorus. Lift your voice for those before us. We can rely on one another. Feel the pride, let's show our colors. We are heroes and dreamers. We are restless believers. Stronger than ever. Never say never. Don't look back now. Don't look back now. Rise up. Stand with each other. We are sisters and brothers, finding our place and running the race. We'll take our chance and seize our fate. Destiny awaits. We are all the actors in the stories we create. Hope will be our guide. We'll no longer hide. When we roll like thunder, feel the wonder from inside. This is the time we form the chorus. Left your voice for those